To the block exact. So we're going to ask our soldier to come forward and begin our service. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Please have me page 578. You see one verse of 578 for scripture, reading, and prayer. Yeah, let's sing. There's not a friend like the Holy Jesus. No, not one. No, not one. None else could live all our souls Jesus. No, not
Good morning.
This morning's scripture will come from Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. Once again, it is Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. With the average here reads, not faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen.
Amen.
Again, I regret to you, Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1, read my favorite final prayer.
Amen.
Good morning, Senator Brother.
Good morning.
You bow with me for a moment. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your love, your mercy, and grace.
Yeah.
Thank you for all the brave souls that come out this morning. We thank you for those that are on the Lord. We thank you for watching over us as we slept this morning last night. And we certainly thank you for waking us up. We thank you for our yesterdays. We thank you for our tomorrows, our
Yes.
this and next, and all that. But we thank you for this very day. This is the only day that's ever promised to us. Heavenly Father, please now bless in Christ and we pray. Amen.
Amen.
See all of you. Y'all probably see my cheek scratched down sent in the group text. For those who haven't. But I was trying to get to as many people as I could that would want a copy of the lesson. So I just took a picture of it and sent it to the group text. It actually has what we've already covered up to the last part, and my focus was really going to be on Peter. We had ended with him walking on the water, and so we're going to actually look at what was going on, and we're going to talk about how to apply those lessons to our lives. Amen. So, for a quick summary, what have we learned? Now, when I say learn, I don't want you to tell me what you already knew. What greater understanding? Because sometimes we know a little bit about, we know what we're talking about, right? We know a little bit about faith, we know about love, but there might be some things that we cover that actually challenge the way we saw things. And then God's wisdom, His word, give us a greater understanding. And so that's what I want us to do, is to have a greater understanding. I'm gonna show you what happens. Whenever you understand things at its right perspective, when you have understanding, your life is smoother. The same issues, the same troubles, the same disappointments come along, but your way of seeing and responding changes. And so you're able to have a peace of mind in everybody else's trouble. When you have understanding of what faith is, understanding what love is, understanding what hope is. And we've been focusing on the faith, love, and hope. And we've been, what was the main thing with all three of those things? The faith, love, and hope. Words, action. Action. What is the only verse that kind of reversed that focused on the love and dispelled the action if it's not with the love? Which verses, or what book talked about that?
First Corinthians, is it Corinthians?
Yep, 1 Corinthians 13. That's where it finally talks about if you do all these great works, but if you don't have love, it's for nothing. And so that one actually is the reverse side. And so whenever you look at faith without works, is dead. And when we look at love, Jesus said, "If you love me, you'll keep my commandments." Right? But what if everybody is doing the works, but their motive is not love? And so you can't claim to have love and not do the works, because then Jesus gonna call you a liar. If you love me, you'll keep my commandments. And you can't call yourself like just because you're doing the works, claiming that you love. And we're gonna look at that part, because there's a way to determine someone's motives. And there's a way to even challenge your own. You ever question yourself? There have been times like at work. One time I had cleaned up everything and it was immaculate. I couldn't wait till the boss come and see what happened. And he didn't notice it. He came in and didn't mention nothing. And I was disappointed. And I started getting upset and everything, but I went through all that trouble. And then there was a question that came to my mind. Did you do it just for recognition? Do you value who you are? It was really a question of integrity. If you knew that he wasn't going to talk about it, mention it, etc., would you still have done it? Sometimes we have to question ourselves to see where our heart is. Right. Sometimes we are friendly with certain people and not with others, and we're friendly with those certain people because of what they have. Right. But we never really thought about it until, let's say, you find out that they don't have it. Will you continue doing those things? I don't know. Have you ever challenged yourself? I had it, even when it comes to giving. Sometimes people give because this is when we was passing the collection plate. There was a little pressure on it. You gave because you didn't want nobody not to see you put something in there with it cross. And sometimes that you get anxious or whatever, or you start to feel a little nervous because you're worried about how people view you or see you, etc. And so you try to make sure you have something to put in there, even if you know how some people they crawl like go in there real quick. or they get Because they don't want nobody to see that $1, but sometimes we do. And sometimes we also fail to examine ourselves even before the collection plate comes. You know, whenever you get that paycheck, did the Bible teach that we're going to give our first fruits? What does that mean? Wait a minute. What's that? Okay, what does that mean?
Whenever you get your check, you already lay aside that part that you're gonna give God before you pay the bill, before you give.
Okay, so
That top part.
who here budget? Who here put a budget together? All right. A man don't raise his hand. A man raises his hand. Don't laugh yet. Don't laugh yet. Women don't budget and they just break it. They good at writing it down, but they don't stick to it. And then you got men who don't even go through the trouble of budgeting at all, you know. But when you budget, because sometimes we look at our bills and everything, and we see how much we got to pay out, and then we determine what we're going to give. Or do we look at how much we made, determine the percentage we're going to give, and then what's left, we're going to figure out our bills. See, that's a big difference. That's a big difference. Are we going to decide what we're going to give God off of what we have left over? Or are we going to decide what we give God even before we consider anything else?
That's right.
That's a big difference. And see, and that right there also challenges your faith. Because the main thing that people focus on, well, I gotta take care of my family, I gotta take care of is not God taking care of you.
That's right.
So that means that you're trusting in yourself above what God can do. So this lesson is going to help us on many levels when it comes to faith. And it's going to also make us conscious on how to see where we are, how to examine ourselves, what questions to ask to see where we stand. And then, if we fail to examine ourselves, God has a way of bringing about circumstances and situations that will cause you to reconsider or to think about things. And this is the way I see it. When I pray to God, I pray that I can figure things out before He has to step in.
That's right.
You know what that means? You know, I want to be the one to correct it before He corrects it. All right? If I mess up, and I know my mama's coming, this is when I'm good. I want to be the one to fix it before she sees it and do something about it. Right? Instead of me knowing it's there and procrastinating and go ahead and watch my cartoons. And lollygag and everything, and then she comes through the door and my eyes wide open like this because I know what's about to happen. And so, what I would like for us to do, that's what they did with fasting as well. Fasting was a way to measure your loyalty. You know, and to be able to rely on God for strength and for discipline and all those things. And when they were able, because hunger, let me tell you, man, when I'm hungry, if I said, I've made a decision to fast before, and let me tell you, I don't know how many times I changed my mind or made some exceptions. Or I said, well, I'll do it, I'll try again next time. And I kept putting out, and I see that I lack discipline. And guess what? When things came along out of my control, it showed that I lack discipline. So fasting was a way to control. It was a controlled environment to learn. And the consequences wasn't so great when you messed up and you were able to try again. And then when you start seeing where, regardless of how you felt, you kept your oath, regardless of other circumstances or situations, you kept your oath, then whenever something And that's how God guides us. And we're gonna look at that. We can be directed by circumstances, situations. That's why even your bad can be good. And God, because sometimes the wall is put up and we get upset because that wall is there. But then we find out what's behind that wall. Like, even when it comes to our parents, I got so many no's, and I felt I was upset about those no's. But then when I became wiser, those no's kept me out of jail. Those no's kept me alive. Those no's kept me off of drugs, because I would have been in the influence of others. My mom would let me hang around with it or stay out with it, etc. And so her wisdom was greater than mine, and I had to grow and mature. But what I thought was a disadvantage, what I thought was just wrong and not fair, ended up to be for my best interests. So we have to trust that God knows better. That God knows better. So we're going to look at some things. I'm glad that we got it packed down that action is necessary. When it comes to love, when it comes to faith, you don't want no lip service. You want to see it. And when you see it, then it's felt. Everybody tell you that they love you, but you didn't feel it. Like, that's the famous words, I can't tell. But a love that's felt is a love that's acted on. It's action. And sometimes we fail to love the way God wants us to love. So is love natural or unnatural? Huh? What's that?
I think it's both.
It's both.
We're born with the capacity to love, but we have to learn how to love.
I think it's natural.
Okay, it's natural or unnatural?
It's natural. It's just natural.
Because I'll tell you that later. All right, who's love? God is love. God natural or unnatural or supernatural? All right, supernatural. What does supernatural mean? All right. So if y'all see God, would that be a natural experience or? Like, and so he'll reveal himself in a physical form that's not a natural occurrence. All right. And through our study, and we're gonna get into that too, because it is hard if we didn't talk something or we understood something for so long. Even if the truth is presented, we'll still try to compromise some things. And we'll try to get both to coexist. Instead of eliminating the past because it contradicts the now, what we know now is true.
It reminds me of when Jesus came teaching and preaching, especially those sermons where he would say things like, "You have heard it said that this is ours now."
Yes.
That was your natural way.
Yes.
Jesus was trying to get them to shift to the unnatural way.
Yes.
And so there is a distinct difference between love and not love.
Yes.
And natural and unnatural.
And I'm glad you brought that out because he made it clear that you cannot have one without the other. So they were doing works, but their heart wasn't in it. So it said, it was, you were not to kill your brother. Thou shalt not kill. But it said, even if you hate him in your heart, it was equivalent to you were guilty of the same thing. Sin is sin. So God, he didn't just look at the physical acts, but even the motive or your heart or your intentions.
That's right.
And so, yes, the natural, a woman would naturally defend her child. But that same woman can fail to love her child. When God defined what love is, and you contradict that, then you have failed to love. What happens when you spare the rod? There's some that don't want to discipline their children.
That's right.
And the Bible makes it clear that for you not to do that and to know what will become of them for you not doing that, you have to love that child.
That's right.
And God said, I chastise you because I love you.
Right.
And if I didn't chastise you, then you would be like a master.
Yeah.
Fathers. But if I'm your father, expect it.
How long can an individual, how long can you do something outwardly and it's not inwardly for you? So to speak, as if you're doing it, namesake only, but eventually, who you are, what you are, your experience is gonna show up who you really are.
And that's when you're challenged on another level. So, you said how long was someone
Can you look for the real you?
All right, they would do it as long as it takes, and as long as the incentive is there for them to do it.
Mhm.
But if you take away the incentive, then you'll find their true colors. That's why I was saying, sometimes we would be there for certain people because we know that those people have the means to bless us. But if the means to bless you is taken away, we would still be there for those people. And there are certain things that would happen that would challenge where your loyalty lies and what's true. Yes.
You know, like when you spare the Lord and spoil the child, some parents think they're loving the child by sparing the Lord just to be their friends. And it didn't, for them to come to them or whatever, or go out with them or whatever.
Yes.
So they spare that rod, they think they love them, just, talking. But you need to use that rod, and the child will respect you later on. Why you do that? They see that I love you. My mother and father did this, but they love me.
Yes.
So you spare that rod and let them go and do what they want to do. That's your opportunity to stuff.
Yes. And what people don't see, because it's supernatural, what they don't see is that by them not disciplining their children, they have made a selfish act. A selfish act. Because they wanted a peace now, and it's going to cost them in the long run.
Yes.
It's the same between a husband and wife.
Real.
There's certain things that we do for peace now. It's going to cost you in the long run.
Mercy.
And so you're going to have to stand on truth even if your mate doesn't like it, or it's going to cost you in the long run. There's sometimes people will do things and they will try to save a relationship, but they just postpone the inevitable. And now you haven't even held your part because you gave in and still lost.
Mercy.
And so I'd rather stay loyal to God than give in to someone who's not loyal to me. I'm going to be loyal to the one who's loyal to me. Put God first. And you can always know that your end result will be good. Will be good, no matter what you face at the present moment. And so that's what denying self is. Denying self and trusting that God knows best. So for husbands, there's certain things, sometimes you don't want to deal with certain things. Sometimes you want to push things under the rug because, you want peace, but at what cost?
Mercy.
All right, whenever God requires something of you. Now there's certain things you can't compromise on, but there's certain things you can't, and you need to have the wisdom to know the difference. That was a prayer, wasn't it? Simple to that. Who know that quote? That prayer. Yeah, what's the words of that prayer? You kind of know it. So I forgot how it went. But we'll revisit that later. Let's get into the lesson. So we talked about hearing and faith and obedience and what faith and love have in common. Both faith and love have what in common? Okay, both of them require action. But I want us, this is going to be, I want to make sure we get this. With Peter, in fact, the scripture that was read to you here was Hebrews 11:1. We're going to deal with that scripture as we consider Peter. And I also want you to look at 2 and verse 7. In fact, let's read that one first. Whoever has it, 2 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 7.
For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, and of love, and of a sound mind.
All right. Power, love, sound mind. All right, let me tell you, fear is going to jeopardize love. It's going to take away your power, and it will take away your sound mind. All right. Now, when we deal with fear, like the lady said, some parents fear their children being upset with them or not liking them or certain things, so they don't discipline them or they don't hold them accountable because they fear they would jeopardize the relationship. And when they fear they would jeopardize the relationship, they lose power. And they're going to lose also that peace of mind. There was another scripture, and I sent this to someone, but I didn't, for some reason I did not have the book, chapter, and verse. I can probably look it up. Where is that scripture? It was talking about disciplining the child. Where is it? And I believe it's in Proverbs. I might have to just keep going and hopefully get to it. No, it's really looking for what's going on, man. When we talk about see, this is my fault for saving too much stuff on my phone. I'm not able to locate it. But it is talking about what happens when it's talking about a child that's left to himself. Let me look that up. I can look it up again since I can't find it. See, well, I just put in the keywords here. All right, there we go. It's in Proverbs 29:15. The rod and reproof give wisdom, but a child left to himself bringeth his mother to shame. A child left to himself. How many of us is guilty of that? A child being left to himself. You know, sometimes we so busy and we let our children just, wander on the internet and YouTube and everything else, and they're left to themselves. You know how much mess is on there? And the child's eyes are open to things that it should not be open to at the age they are.
That's right.
And Satan has entered in because you were not guarding the door. So a child left to himself will bring his mother to shame. And sometimes we just need that break, so we put that in front of them. it's gonna cost you. You're gonna get peace for the present time, but it's gonna bring much trouble on down the road. It's some serious things to think about it. Who's been guilty of that? I said, I'm gonna raise my hand, I'm gonna tell you. My already tell you what YouTube is. You know? Sometimes we fail to put certain locks on things and passwords on things and limit their control. We fail to protect them as parents because we just want our time. And it ended up causing us all to suffer. Yes.
I just have a friend, her daughter, every time she gets in trouble, she starts playing that song, Don't Nobody Care About Me. Nobody care about me. I'm just gonna kill myself. I've heard it once, I've heard it 1,000 times. The grandbaby's watching this. I'm like 3 years old. I'm just gonna kill myself. So the daughter said, Stacy, you don't have to kill yourself. You can call Charles. I said, y'all don't turn that TV on.
Yes.
She been watching it.
Yes. They've been conditioned.
Yeah, and she said it out loud. I mean, you are wrong. You look like a fool. I said, I don't believe it.
Yes.
And it sounds like to me that it has worked before. So maybe that's not the first time that she tried it. And there are some things I'm saying should be nipped in the bud the first time to prevent it from happening again and again and again.
A lot of times when things are brought to our attention, that's your warning. If you don't deal with it and think that that was a one-time occurrence, you in trouble. And so these are some serious things that we need to consider. Yes.
Yeah. We read Proverbs 20 chapter and verse 15.
20 and 15.
Yeah, let me make sure I got it. Proverbs 22nd chapter. 22nd chapter, verse 15.
Oh, you have a different verse. Okay, 22nd chapter.
Yeah, Proverbs 22nd chapter, verse 15.
You want to read it?
Okay.
Go ahead.
On this one, it says, foolishness is bound up in the heart of a child. The rod of correction is that it from
Yes.
Huh.
Yes. And we also remember that the discipline without explanation is dangerous.
Yeah.
Remember how God deals with us. That's why when I think about what was the other scripture where God said, "Let me reason with you," and He talks about it was just in your lesson, even with Cain.
Yeah.
You know, if you do good, I will accept it. But if you do bad, so it's important sometimes as parents, we may be in a rage or upset and we whip them and we want them out of our sight. There's a danger. There's a danger if we do not take the time to help them understand.
Because sometimes they do it by mistake.
Yes.
And then the other times, like my dad said, once I tell you something, that's forever.
Yes.
And me, he might tell you week after week after week, or you will give a consequence week after week after week. And you don't want to do that. And obviously he doesn't want to whoop you because he wants you to understand that this keeps going. And when you have your kids, it keeps going.
Yes.
It's not a one-time thing, it's not a one generation thing. Sit it down the line.
Yes. Think about how often God explains himself to his children and take out the time. There's a lot of passages where he not only disciplined them, but he felt it was important to explain to them why.
That's what I was getting ready to say. When we went there, after you get older, they sit down, we just sit down with them and we tell them, why did I do this? Why did I give you a spanking or whatever? Why did I do that to you?
Yes.
And let them explain, and you explain to them, well, just because you did this and that, and I'm trying to protect you, or whatever the case is. So you won't go and keep doing the mistake that you still do.
Yes.
So you sit down and you explain to them why.
Right. And so just think of this. Remember, Jesus said, pure religion is this. And things that one would do, like visit the sick and the homeless, etc. And but before that, he was talking about someone's religion in vain if they can't hold their tongue, etc. That religion is vain. Just like faith without works is dead, and he was talking about love without works is dead. Discipline without explaining is dangerous. Because if you don't explain it, there is another entity that will whisper in their ear, they don't love you. That they whisper in their ear that they don't want you to be your unique self. And express yourself and this and that. They don't, and so these voices, and I'm gonna tell you, it's on TV and everything else, where they try to empower the children, and there's a great threat in that. So if you don't explain it, the other will.
That's right.
And they're gonna try to make you look like the enemy, like in the Garden of Eden, where Satan said he just don't want you to know. All right.
You know, not only should we discipline our children, but here's the key thing. We have to know how
Yes.
to discipline our children.
Not in a rage.
Now, in Ephesians 6 and verse 4, brother, if you let me, Ephesians 6 and verse 4 says, and ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and the admonition of the Lord.
Yes.
So not only are we to discipline our children, but we are to know how to discipline our children. Because sometimes we'll have kill them over something simple.
Right. And it's because we chose to discipline while in our wrath.
While we were angry.
And if you discipline while in your wrath, you will provoke wrath.
Yeah.
You know, and so, that's how, I tell, go in the room. I tell my daughter, go in your room. Because I know if I get her right now, so I gotta calm myself down, and I'm able to get her, and then sit on my lap and hug her and explain things to
I'm
her.
gonna be quiet after this.
Okay.
But even God was bad one time not to correct his children while in his anger.
Yes.
Not to correct them while he was angry.
Yeah.
That would have been bad for them.
Yes. Yes. In fact, with Moses, he was asking God. So yes, we need to practice that. Let's get to Peter. We haven't got to Peter yet. I'm talking about it. But these are important, and the reason I'm dealing with these subjects is because our quality of life is in jeopardy. Many Christians that should have a peaceful life do not have a peaceful life. Many Christians that should have a good relationship with their children do not have a good relationship with their children. Many Christians that should have a happy home between husband and wife do not have a happy home between husband and wife. But all the answers is right here.
Amen.
And so we have a misunderstanding of what love is. If my excuse for hollering or for treating you a certain way because of how I feel, we're in trouble. When I don't know, let's look at husband and wives. When I'm afraid of your emotion, now not really afraid. Because I'm gonna tell you, we can do tit for tat, but all it's gonna do is destroy both of us.
Yes.
So when a man acknowledges that his woman is in a rage, so we try to stay calm while they get loud, and we try to show them that they're loud, and when you calm down, then we'll talk. And you refuse to get loud with them, and sometimes it makes you feel that you're the weak one. But you're actually acting out of wisdom. That's how they see Jesus. They see him as the weak one because he was led to the cross and died on the cross. But that was actually sheer strength and discipline. Because he had the power. And I'm gonna tell you, whenever you are meek, and I'm not even gonna say, I don't know the difference between meek and humble. So you can be humble power under control. So Jesus was meek,
Yes.
powerful. You know what he do, but was disciplined.
There you go.
And so sometimes people will take your weakness for your weakness.
Yes.
When you have the power to, I've seen women get up in a man's face. I was my man twice big. You know what he can do to you?
Mercy.
But because he was meek, you thought that you are the one in control when he can just. But to have the ability to see the consequences of your action and to make wiser choices in the now because you have seen the future if you make other choices. And it's sad when you don't have a partner that understands that you didn't win. Someone loved you enough to make you think so.
Teach us. Teach us.
And so we have to, love is keeping your emotions in check. Love is discipline. When I say God is love, God is discipline. He's intelligent. Anger is lack, anger unchecked, the emotion has no logic. You gotta be the one thinking and not just feeling. So if I acted how I felt, and I would have destroyed a lot of things. But I put my feelings under submission, and that's what denying self means. If you gotta deny that part of you that is contrary to God's way, even when it comes to your husband or when it comes to your wife. Denying that part of you, that's why I call emotion the beast. I talk about the conscious, the subconscious, and the beast. And the conscious self have to keep themselves in this word. And this word that will empower the conscious self to put the subconscious and the beast in place. Because the subconscious is full of fear, past experiences, and that can influence your choices. But God didn't give us a spirit of fear, but of love, and of power, and of what's the last? Sound mind. Sound mind. And so if your emotions rule you, that's not a sound mind. That's destructive. If every time you get upset, you can't help but raise your voice, which provoke others to act in the same likeness, you are stirring up the wrong spirits in others by not keeping your spirit in check. We'll talk about all that next time. Our time's up. We didn't even get Peter. But in order, this is my goal, is for us to live the life that God wants us to live, to actually know what it means to be joyful always. But there is no way you can be joyful always when you lack understanding. And when you don't know what love is, because that's going to bring about that joy. So we need to really understand the purity or the soundness of what love is. We need to know what love is. We need to know what faith is. And when we get a hold of that, we understand that, and we actually able to apply that and check ourselves in all our relationships, whether it's husband and wife, whether it's with our children, check ourselves and allow God to direct us, you're going to get that peace that surpasses all understanding. That don't come to every Christian, only to this one. All right, time's up. Good morning, Jack. Good morning.